Hello you guys, welcome back to my channel and welcome back to day 2 in my 7 days of declutters, where every single day for 7 straight days I will be posting a declutter themed video. And today I will be decluttering my bronzer and highlight collection. It is not as cutthroat as yesterday's video with my foundations, concealers, and powders, but I still am proud of where we ended. So if you're interested, stay tuned. I am going to quickly try and cut in my clip from my first video just about my mindset going into this declutter series in case you missed that. Otherwise, I'll also post a timestamp so you can just click right along to the declutter. I just want to kind of share my personal mindset around this declutter. I knew that I wanted to do a declutter this year, and I knew it was going to be a little bit bigger than I feel like I did last year. If you don't know, I finalized my divorce after almost 3 years in June. And I feel like I have had a shift in my mindset in general in life, as one does when they go through like a big life event like that. But specifically when it comes to my makeup collection, I feel like I've worked a lot on myself in terms of just being okay, like just letting things go sometimes. And so one example I want to give is like my Mary Luminizer. I have had this for such a long time, so it does hold a bit of a nostalgic place in my heart. And I'm not saying I'm going to let go of every nostalgic product in my collection, because there are things like my ABH Nicole Guerrero Glow Kit that I just like don't want to let go of, whether or not I'm using it. Like this, there is something extremely special about this, whatever. But my Mary Luminizer has a pan in it, and so the panner's mentality in me says keep this product to try and use it up completely. But when I think about just how I like to myself and my makeup consumption and the things I like on my face, if I want a highlight that is like a golden sort of shade or a champagne sort of shade like this, the first product I think of that I want to reach for most is my Vesca Beauty highlight. And so when I have this in my collection and feel like I still need to use this from time to time because I'm keeping in my collection, then I'm not using my Vesca Beauty highlight, which I would much prefer to be using. I also don't want you to get this misconception that I'm going to be decluttering even 50% of my collection. I am not. Definitely some areas, my noodles seem to be overflowing. Definitely some areas I do better than others, but I am ready to just let go of some things that I feel like I've been holding on to. Like this Mary Luminizer I remember purchasing when I lived in my first house with my ex, and like there's just some things too that I'm just like ready to let go of. Again, this is not going to be the most cutthroat declutter, so don't go into it thinking I'm decluttering 50% of my collection. But that is kind of like my mindset. Unless a product is truly like so freaking old that it truly needs to go in the trash, I do bring all of my makeup products home to share with my mom, sister. I bring them with me to share with my friends. So it's not like all these makeup products are going in the trash. I know I've gotten comments before that's like, some of us have to like use the makeup that we buy, and yes, I get that. I also am a content creator, so I purchase makeup to review on this channel. I do get sent makeup, and if I can pass something along to my friends and family that are going to want to use the product every single day, and it means I get to use products that I like in my collection more frequently, I feel like that's a win-win. So that is my mindset going into my declutter series. If you have yet to subscribe to my channel and you like project painting content, palette themed content, or just chit chatting about makeup, I'd love if you'd consider subscribing before moving on. Other than that, let's get into the declutter. All right, you guys, we're gonna start with my cream bronzer collection. And I will be honest, I think bronzer is going to be a very difficult category for me to declutter from, just knowing myself and knowing how much I love bronzers. I can start with this one though. I know this is an easy one. This is the Charlotte Tilbury Hollywood Contour Wand. Used to really love this. This one personally I feel like smells like paint thinner now, and I don't love this formula or this shade as much as I once did. So for that reason, I am going to declutter this. I know, oh my gosh, this is so difficult. This is so difficult. I know I'm gonna keep, here, maybe I should start, I'm gonna swatch these two. I know I'm gonna keep my Chanel Le Beige bronzer, and I did just self tan last night, so some of these like Like you can barely see that one on my skin here, but I feel like that's like the perfect type of bronzer to have. Not too dark, not too orangey, very neutral. This is a beautiful cream bronzer, and always I feel like my face is a little bit lighter than my actual skin. So this, I'm keeping this. Don't judge this. My daughter kind of destroyed this, but it's so expensive. I don't want to buy a new one, and it still works just fine. This is my Charlotte Tilbury Beautiful Skin Sun-Kissed Bronzer. Now this one is a little bit deeper. If you're hearing noises that sound like squeaks, my daughter's sitting watching a YouTube video on my big sloth next to me, and she keeps moving and it's making noise. Okay, that is what that one looks like. It is definitely a little bit deeper, but I still think that this is beautiful. I love this one. I should focus on this in a project because this looks so janky. I really should try and get use out of this, but I am going to keep that one. And then I am also going to keep my Fenty Beauty Butter Biscuit. Let's go ahead and swatch this one. This one is definitely a little bit lighter. I'm like lighter than the Charlotte Tilbury, and possibly even a little bit lighter in tone than the Charlotte Tilbury, although kind of similar to the Charlotte Tilbury. I love this one. I feel like this really works for me all year round, but especially when I don't have a self tan, this is really, really beautiful. So I will keep that. Okay, I would really like to keep my NARS Laguna bronzer as well. This one I feel like is really deep though. Yeah, that one is deep. So I have to be really careful with this one. You can really sheer this one out though. Kind of. I just have to be careful and go in with a really light hand, but I do really enjoy this formula. I think it's a beautiful product. And when I have something that's a little bit more full coverage, I like to reach for this as well. So I'm gonna keep my NARS Laguna bronzer. Let's look at, well, let's actually swatch both of my Rare Beauty. So I have the shade Happy Soul, which is the one that I've gotten more use out of. I'm purchased Happy Soul. There's Happy Soul swatched. And then the other one I have is Bright Side. My sister gave me Bright Side. Bright Side looks pretty similar to Butter Biscuit. So it's like, do I need both? I might, oh, that's so tough. Because this one's so easy to use and to travel with. But I don't find myself reaching for this one. All that frequently. I'm gonna swatch Butter Biscuit. I'm gonna do like a heavier swatch to see really how similar those are. This one is almost even a little bit more deep, but they are so similar. They really are so similar. I feel like I don't need to keep both, and I am gonna keep Bright Side, Happy Soul. I'm gonna keep Happy Soul. I'm gonna keep Butter Biscuit, so maybe I will declutter Bright Side and pass this along to a friend, just because I feel like they're similar enough, not quite so similar, but this is also a little bit more cool toned. Oh, I don't need both. I'm gonna declutter this one. I'm gonna declutter that. All right, let's move on to the my Patrick Ta, and I'm gonna swatch just the contour portion of this. Ooh, the contour portion is very light. I want to swatch that against maybe it's not as light as I thought. Also pretty similar to Bright Side and Butter Biscuit. I do really enjoy this product for when I am more fair though. And I'm gonna hang on to this and swatch the powder side with the powders, but I do believe I will keep that. All right, next up I have my Huda Beauty Tan Tour. I do have a pan in this, but I haven't reached, oh. Okay, that one still smells normal. I haven't reached for this one in a bit. Okay, I feel like this isn't working to swatch over my tattoos as well. Okay, I don't feel like I have anything quite this shade. And I do like this one. This one also is more pigmented. So when I am, again, like maybe doing more full coverage makeup and I want a cream product, but it's gonna offer a little bit more pigmentation. Also, it definitely is leaning on the more cool tone side, because obviously it is a contour product. I'm gonna keep this. I feel like if I declutter this, I would be decluttering just to declutter something, so I don't want to do that. I'm gonna be keeping that. Next up we have my Makeup by Mario. I love this product. This is the Soft Sculpt Transforming Skin Enhancer in the shade Light Medium. Let's see, where can I swatch? I feel like I should take my swatches off. Ooh, that's actually pretty similar to, a little bit glowier, and obviously I really sheared this one out, but kind of similar in tone, kind of, to the NARS. I'm definitely keeping this. I'm just trying to see kind of like what it's similar to. I love this product, so definitely keeping that. And then finally I have my Rose Ink bronzer, which I like this, but I've mentioned many times these Rose Ink products like definitely dry out more quickly. Yeah, like even like this whole top layer, I feel like I really have to, like the whole top layer is dried out, so I really have to do a lot of swirling. Okay, let's see. I feel like I don't want to keep this just because it does keep drying out. And I'm like, I'd rather, like, what is this similar to? It definitely is more warm leaning, actually. I feel like it might be most similar to the NARS. Okay, I'm gonna swatch these two next to one another. Let's see. There's the NARS, but then we can shear the NARS out. And then here is the Rose Ink. Okay, the Rose, it's so hard because the Rose Ink one really is really pretty. But it's just annoying that it like dries out so quickly. But it definitely has a bit of a warmer undertone. I thought I was going to declutter this. Oh, why am I struggling so much with this one? I think I do want to keep both. I just like that that one's just a little bit warmer. And after I like warm the product up, it works just fine. So I'm gonna keep both of these. Again, I don't wanna declutter just to declutter. We'll see if I use this more, and if I'm not using this at all this summer. Now I'm looking at it, I'm like, is it too warm toned? Okay, I'm gonna put this on my face really quick. Okay, I just put this one on my face, and I actually do feel like on my face it does look a little more orangey and warm tone than I would prefer. Like I'd rather just reach for the NARS if I'm trying to decide between the two of these, because this one leans a little bit more neutral. So I will declutter the Rose Ink. I really did like this at one point in time, but it is frustrating that this dries out so quickly. I also noticed that all of the Rose Ink products are, or were at least, on sale for 50% off on the Sephora website. So I don't know if something is happening there, but I am going to declutter that. And that just leads me to these 3 cloud paints that I have left from Glossier. Let me clear off this swatch. This will be interesting. So I think I'm for sure going to declutter Sale. This one is just really light. And I just don't see myself getting use out of this one. Glossier did send over all 4, and I did give one of them to my sister. There, that is swatched right there. Definitely more like, I just feel like once this is blended out, it's basically like blends out into something that like really isn't even gonna translate as a bronzer on my personal skin tone, unless I'm like truly at my fairest. But I am someone who likes bronzer. I like to like be able to see my bronzer. That's just my personal preference. I know it's not the same for everyone, but I feel like someone else, possibly even my sister, could also benefit from this or get more use out of this than I would. So I'm gonna pass Sale along. Then I have the shade Dune and the shade Coast. Now Coast is way too deep for me, but I have mixed Coast with a lotion to kind of use as like a body blur bronzing product, and I did like it that way. But I just also purchased the browning lotion from Vacation, which like does the same thing, and I don't have to like mix the two together, and it's a little bit finicky to do that. I do really like the shade Dune. I do really like the shade Dune, which is swatched out right here. As you can tell, as this is blended out, it definitely does match my self tan pretty well, almost to the point where like you can't see this, but on my face I feel like you really could. I think I'm gonna pass Coast along just because I don't see myself using this other than mixing it possibly with a lotion, and I can just use the Vacation browning lotion for that. But I will keep Dune in my collection. And so that means for the cream / liquid bronzer category, we are keeping 8, decluttering 5. I actually feel good about that. Okay, as I was pulling my bronzers out, I realized I missed my Merit bronzing stick in the shade Clay, so I thought I'd just swatch that out for you guys right there. I will be keeping Merit, so I guess we are keeping 9, decluttering 5. The Merit is so beautiful. This is like truly like your skin beautiful bronze. It is like glowier, but it is glowier, but it is more subtle, and you can really sheer this one out. You can build it up some, not to like a ton of opacity, but some, or you can really sheer it out. And I just feel like this is like the most beautiful like bronzer, no bronzer sort of bronzer, so definitely keeping this one from Merit. Here are my powder bronzers. It actually feels like I don't have that much bronzer right now. I do have my face palettes that have bronzer in them pulled right now, just in case I'm like on the fence about something and I want to swatch something similar. I'm gonna start with this one from Patrick Ta. I'm gonna start with my bronzers that are a little bit lighter. So I'm gonna swatch the powder version. Okay, that powder version is like extremely light. I'm like, do I actually not need, this is in the shade She's Statuesque. Let me swatch Fenty Into Sun next to that. Okay, Fenty in the Sun is definitely like a creamier, smoother formula and just a little bit deeper. I actually think I'm going to declutter the Patrick Ta Face Duo. I just feel like in terms of the cream formula, I have other creams similar to it, and I would much rather reach for Fenty Beauty Into Sun over the powder from this. And Fenty Into Sun for a lighter bronzer is definitely something when I finish this I would repurchase. So this one will stay, but I'm actually kind of surprised. I'm going to declutter the Patrick Ta Duo. Oh, I just realized I missed 2 bronzers. That could be why it feels like I don't have that much bronzer. Okay. Another lighter bronzer in my collection is this one from Nabla. I absolutely love this. This is in the shade Ambra. This is a baked formula. It offers a really beautiful glow, but as you can tell, it is definitely a little bit lighter. I absolutely love this. This has taken me forever. Like, I have focused on this in multiple projects. I've used this so much. This was definitely my favorite bronzer when I first purchased this, and it's still going strong. Like, I still don't even see a pan. I do believe I would repurchase this bronzer after finishing this. I love this for a bronzer that's not totally matte. So keeping this and would repurchase when I finish. And then kind of in that same vein, okay, let's do this, because this is, okay, this is the NYX Buttermelt bronzer in the shade Deserve Butter, which has a little bit more of like a pinkiness or a cool toned vibe. So there's that swatch there. Definitely a little bit deeper though with that pink undertone. I am going to keep this. I've really been enjoying the NYX Buttermelt bronzer, so that will be staying. Let me swatch, oh, let's swatch the Gucci bronzer. This is in the shade 1. This is obviously lighter and also is supposed to have kind of like a pinky undertone. So there is Gucci shade 1. I'm actually curious how Gucci 1 compares to Fenty Into Sun. Oh, I don't know how well you can see that, but the Gucci No. 1 bronzer almost looks even a little bit lighter than Fenty Into Sun, with a little bit more of like a pinkiness to it. I'm definitely keeping Gucci No. 1 as well. I think that's a beautiful, beautiful bronzer, especially when I am more fair. Just realized I missed yet another bronzer. And actually this bronzer is a little bit lighter as well. So this is NARS Laguna, but it's the sun-washed version. There's NARS Laguna. I actually want to swatch that against Fenty Into Sun. Okay, that one's a little bit deeper. I do have this new palette from NARS. This is their Laguna Ultimate Face Palette, and it comes with Laguna Original and then Drift Away. I'm just very curious how the original Laguna swatches. Oh, that is so interesting. I was expecting this original Laguna, which is swatched right here, to be way deeper than the sun-washed version. Maybe not though. Okay. My question to myself is, do I need both? I will say this original one almost looks a little bit glowier than this one. I feel like I would be decluttering this just to declutter it if I did. Like, I think that looks so beautiful on the skin. So I am going to keep the Sun Washed Laguna. Let me swatch. This is one that I'm like big question marks. So this is my Marc Jacobs Tantastic. There it is swatched right there. That really is beautiful because it's just, really is subtle. I just feel like I've had this in my collection for so long. I'm kind of just over it. But also I really have no reason to be, so I'm gonna keep this. I do have a large pan in it. It would be so satisfying to someday just finish this pan. I would likely keep the compact. It's a nice large compact, so that will be staying. Should we move on to my glowy bronzers next? Okay, so for my glowy bronzers, we have my Kosas, the Beachy Sun Show, which I am going to declutter. Mine smells like it's gone off. And I just kind of wish I never had even purchased that. Plus that's like very bronzy. Granted, that is a heavy swatch, but that's just like not my personal preference for bronzer. So I am going to declutter that. And then I have my Huda Glowish. And if you saw my chopping block try on, I did try this on. I thought I really liked it, but then watching back and reading some of your comments, a lot of you said that this was a little bit warm on me, kind of pulled a little bit orangey, and I do agree. I didn't love it as much when I watched back the footage, so I actually am ready to pass on my Huda Glowish as well. If I want to add a little bit of glow to my bronzer, Nabla Ambra is where it's at. I can just use this to kind of top my bronzer. I don't really think I have any more glowy bronzers. Maybe let's swatch. Here is my Charlotte Tilbury Airbrush Bronzer in the shade 2. There is that one swatched. That honestly like swatched lighter than I was expecting. I really love this. I obviously have a huge pan in this, so I'm gonna keep that. And I wanna swatch that against, let's see, the Hoola bronzer, which I repurchased the Benefit Hoola bronzer this year, because I missed having this in my collection. And actually the Hoola is kind of similar to the Charlotte Tilbury. I feel like this one almost has a little bit more of like a pinkiness to it, not by a lot, but is also just a little bit deeper. I am gonna keep Hoola as well. And then let me swatch my Dior Forever Natural Bronze next. This is in the shade 4, Tan Bronze. And this, I feel like in the pan, this one looks really deep, but then swatched, you can see it's actually not that deep. And almost, so this definitely has more of like a cool toned undertone. I do actually really like this when I am more fair, which again, kind of seems counterintuitive to Tan Bronze, but definitely pulls a little bit more pink. I am going to keep this one. All right, these last few, let's see. All right, we have my Give Beauty, and I forgot this also has a cream in it as well, but I love the powder in this. It definitely is a little bit deeper, a little bit more warm toned, but I don't know, there is something about this duo that I really love. If I didn't say, it's in the shade Tosin. And then let's swatch it next to the Gucci bronzer. This is shade 3. Oh yeah, this is a deep shade. This is definitely probably too dark for me, but I am gonna keep this. See, I can like sheer it out. I just have to use a really fluffy brush. And I do really like the like limited edition packaging. I spent a lot of money on this, so I'm gonna try and make this one work for me. I feel like I can make this work. I just need to like really sheer that one out. I am keeping the Give Beauty duo as well. And then I have the Victoria Beckham bronzing brick. This is in the shade 3. The warm side is Sand and the contour side is Soul. So let's swatch the warm side. And that definitely is warm and a little bit deeper, something that definitely works better for me in the summer. And then there is the contour side, which is a really, really beautiful, cool toned, yet deeper. I did purchase this specifically in shade 3 to match me more in the summertime. I really, really love this bronzing brick. I like to mix the two shades together. Sometimes I just go in with the warm side, sometimes I just go in with the cool side, but I am gonna be keeping this. I do really enjoy that. And that just leaves me with the Vive bronzing duo. I have the shade, it's medium 1 and medium 2. So here is medium 1 swatched right there. And as you can tell, that is a little bit more warm. And the last time I used this product, I just didn't love it. Like I remember loving it when I first started using this. I'm gonna swatch there is medium too, and both, even though this looks a little bit deeper, I feel like that just pulls more warm. There is something about the warmth in this that I just don't feel like matches my undertone well, at least anymore. So I am ready to pass this one along. So I know we didn't do as well in the powder bronzer category. I do love my bronzers, but we will be decluttering 4 powder bronzers, and then we are keeping 12 powder bronzers. Honestly, that feels way more manageable than my bronzer collection has been in the past. We jump into highlights. I realized I missed one other cream bronzer that I will be keeping, and that is my Milk Makeup bronzing stick in the shade Baked. Okay, we can start with my cream slash liquid highlight collection. I feel like this collection is like out of control simply because I feel like these are the like cream and liquid products I personally reach for the least. So this is my current collection. This Say Glow Sculpt in Pink Glow. I don't know, some people might consider this to be like a blush, but I consider it to be a highlight. So let's actually start with champagne highlights, because I feel like that hopefully will be easier for me simply because I prefer a pink highlight. So I feel like my pink highlight decisions are going to be a little bit more difficult. So we can start with the Flower Day Glow highlight, and I feel like I almost decluttered this in the past, but did decide to keep this. And I do think that this is a really, really beautiful formula, especially if you want something that's like a little bit more wet looking, because you can really sheer this out to be just like that wet sort of finish. So I will be keeping this. And then speaking of wet finish, I have this from Westman Atelier. This is the Lit Up Stick in the shade Parla. I will definitely be keeping this. There it is swatched right there. Again, just a really sort of wet finish. This is limited edition. I think this is absolutely beautiful. I love this to the point where I feel like I don't allow myself to use this. My other Westman Atelier stick is more of a pink tone, but I'll just swatch this one really quick right here. This one is like a bit more of a like, I don't want to say like chunkier formula, but again, kind of has that wet sort of finish. This one just has a bit of a pinkish sort of tint, but I am almost done with this one, as you can see. So I am obviously going to finish this one. I believe I'll finish this before the end of the year. If I don't, that's really sad. So I'm not concerned about this counting towards my year-end makeup inventory empties, and it was very expensive. I do like the formula, so I would like to use it. I know I'm gonna have to declutter my Flower Beauty Spotlight Liquid Highlight. This has basically dried out. Like I can't, oh, I guess the product comes out a little bit. It's very difficult to use though because it is dried out. So this I'm going to declutter. Then I have my Oma Beauty dual-ended stick, which I only have the contour part left on this. Oh, I thought for sure I was going to declutter that, but that is so pretty. Okay, I really should get more use out of this. Okay, I'm actually gonna keep that because I don't want to declutter just to declutter. That is so pretty. Let's look at my Trustique. This is something I've decluttered in the past and then recluttered back into my collection. I'm gonna wipe these swatches off, and I want to swatch the Trustique one next to the Oma Beauty one. Okay, interesting. This one is more golden champagne, whereas this is more of like a true stark champagne. Then I have Solar Flare from Ritual de Fille, which is okay, all these are like so pretty. Oh, it's so hard to declutter highlights. Why? Then where's the Merit? Bounce is more pink. We have Merit Cava. Ooh, Merit Cava shows up basically like kind of like nothing. Maybe I don't need Merit Cava. I definitely want to keep Solar Flare. That is so pretty. I'm keeping Solar Flare, and I'm keeping the Oma Beauty contour stick. I almost wonder if this is a little bit too stark. Ooh, I'm struggling with this one. I am really struggling with that one because it is really pretty. Okay, I'm gonna think about that one. I do think I can declutter Merit Cava. I feel like this one is similar kind of to Parla from Westman Atelier. Westman Atelier maybe is like a little bit more golden, but I feel like if I'm wanting to reach for something super subtle like this, I'd rather reach for Parla over Cava. So I'm gonna declutter Parla. And then This Trestique one, I just feel like I recluttered this and then I really liked it. But I just feel like that's maybe more intense and dry looking than I'm personally going for with a liquid highlight or a cream highlight. So I think I'm also going to re-declutter it, the Trestique cream highlight. All right, then I feel like the rest are more pink tones. So let's go with the Say Glow Sculpt. I have had like a love-hate with the Say Glow Sculpt. Oh, it's a very, very pretty pink, but it is a little bit deeper. So it is almost more of like a blush highlight hybrid. I'm gonna swatch that next to the Burt's Bees, the Luminizer, and this is in the shade Starlight. This is a really, really beautiful cream highlight, but definitely more like cool toned and a little bit more, I don't want to say metallic, but kind of a little bit more metallic than the Say Beauty. Then I'm gonna swatch Bounce from Merit. Oh yeah, the Merit highlights like really read as almost nothing. Definitely more subtle. I haven't made my mind up about any of these, if you couldn't tell. Then from Rose Inc, I have this one. This is an Opalescent. This has a large pan on it, and I would like to finish this one this year. Just want to see how this one swatches next to everything. I love that. I think that's so pretty. I actually really like all of these. And actually the one I'm like leaning most against is the Burt's Bees, because it just seems like the most intense and most metallic. I'm definitely keeping the Rose Inc. We've established that. I actually think this Kava is really pretty for a more subtle highlight. And I did declutter Kava. If I didn't say this is Bounce, I meant this is Bounce. And this definitely dries down a little bit more than the Westman Atelier. I think I am gonna keep Merit Bounce. I'm gonna keep my Say Glow Sculpt. I think that's really pretty. Oh, I really liked this one last year, but now I'm like, I don't know. All right, we have my Charlotte Tilbury Pillow Talk. Let's swatch that. Oh, that is really pretty too. For some reason, I thought I was going to be able to declutter Pillow Talk. Definitely not. And then I haven't swatched the second one from Ritual de Fille, which is in Moon Pillar. This is a really interesting kind of highlight. This is more of like a purple toned highlight, more ethereal. This Pillow Talk I almost feel like I would like as like a blush hybrid as well, because it is a little bit deeper. I'm going to declutter Moon Pillar just because I don't see myself reaching for, like, I would much rather reach for Solar Flare over Moon Pillar. I'm just not going to reach for this purple sort of highlight. I thought maybe I would, but I'm not. So I'm going to declutter that. We're going to keep Pillow Talk. And I'm struggling with Burt's Bees because I did really like this one a lot last year. But it just is pulling so metallic right now. And it could be because I have a self tan. Like, potentially when I don't, you know what, I'm gonna keep this one for right now, but this would be potentially, if I don't reach for this one between now and the end of the year, I would think about decluttering this one. I will say, wow, Pillow Talk like looks so pretty there. Why have I not used this? Okay, we did not do the best with the cream highlights, and I love how I started out by saying I have a lot of cream highlights, and I feel like this is like one of my least used categories, but I am decluttering 4 cream highlights and keeping 10. All right, you guys, I have so many highlighters that this is just my powder champagne-ish highlighters. So we're gonna start here. I definitely, as I mentioned, prefer a pink highlight to a champagne. We can start with something easy. I know I'm ready to declutter the Glam Light Sugar High. I had decluttered this, then I recluttered it into my collection to see if it's something that maybe I would like, but this just is not my preference. So I will declutter that, but powder highlights, not my preference, but I think this is one of the most beautiful highlights to ever exist. This is from Artist Couture, and this is in the shade Summer Haze. I don't know, like, if you're able to pick up at all. That's so beautiful. It's this really wet highlight with some sparkle running throughout it, but it doesn't read like chunky glitter on the eyes, and I just think it is so pretty. So I'm definitely keeping this. Actually, let's go with ones I know I'm certain I'll keep. Okay, so we have ABH Amrezy. I love this highlight. I don't always like something this metallic, and this is definitely more of like a golden champagne, but I think this is absolutely beautiful, and it's a classic. I'm really annoyed if you're not getting like the full effect of the highlight swatches. If not, I'm so sorry, but this is definitely staying. Oh, I definitely am going to keep my REM highlight. This is in the shade Miss Mercury. This one is a little bit more subtle, but, oh, and swatch there, it doesn't look that subtle, but this one really does kind of sheer out onto, like you can really sheer this one out to be so pretty. I really enjoy this one. And then I also really enjoy the Give Beauty Platinum Cowgirl highlight when I want something a little bit more subtle as well. That one is swatched out right there. I think that is so pretty. So I'm definitely keeping that. I also am definitely going to keep my Vesca Beauty highlight. This one is in the shade Moonlight. You can't get this anymore, and this is one of my favorite champagne highlights. It has this really beautiful kind of yellow gold sort of finish to it. You can sheer this one out or you can build it up. I absolutely love this highlight. It is a favorite. I'm definitely keeping that. I'm definitely gonna keep this Milk and Cookies highlight from Ofra. There's something just special about this. Not my preference at all. I'll swatch kind of all three. So you have a very stark kind of champagne, this really beautiful kind of golden sort of highlight, and then mixed together you get this. I only have, I believe this is my last remaining Ofra highlight in my collection. I don't even think I have any like de-panned ones. I don't know, I just really I like the Milk and Cookies. I really used to watch Steph Toms a lot. I don't even know if she still makes videos. I haven't watched her in a while. But for like a summer, very intense, very blinding highlight, I like to have this in my collection, so I'm gonna keep that. Oh, also kind of going back to like the more subtle side, I feel like we need to, maybe I can swatch over my tattoo. For a more subtle highlight, I love this one from Makeup by Mario. This is the Soft Glow highlighter in the shade Pearl. There's Pearl. This one is also really, really beautiful. You can really sheer Pearl out to be this really beautiful wet looking highlight. So that one is definitely going to stay. Some of these, like, I'm like, am I gonna make tough choices in this, or am I just not gonna make any tough choices at all? I think I am ready to get to declutter Ray Rider from Kaleidos. I feel like I've been hanging on to this because I thought the packaging was unique and cute. There it is. Oh, that is so pretty though. Maybe I'm not. Okay, dang, that is really pretty. Definitely more intense. Let me swatch that. Oh, that is so pretty. I can't. Never mind, I can't. Okay, let's try this one. Natasha Denona Pastel Glow. This I got in my Lucky bag this year, and I just don't know that that is like a highlight I personally like. I don't know if that's my shade of highlight. So I think actually maybe I'll pass this one along to someone who would get more use out of it. Okay, next up, let's look at Milk Makeup Blitzed. I feel like I'm so close to pan on this, so I've really struggled to get myself to, oh, that is so pretty as well. Definitely a little bit deeper than I typically go for, but it's such a smooth formula. I feel like I would regret decluttering that. Okay, we're gonna keep that. Next up, I have Nabla Ozone, which I do really like the Nabla formula. I think I prefer Privilege. There's Ozone swatched right there. It's really, really pretty, but is it similar? And oh, it's such a pretty formula though, and I don't want to declutter just to declutter. Ugh. What does it look like next to my Vesca? Definitely more intense. Okay, I'm gonna keep Ozone. I feel like I would be decluttering just to declutter. We're keeping it. What about Mary Lou? What about Mary Lou? I feel like my Mary Lou is definitely getting older. Okay, there's Mary Lou swatched right there. Mary Lou's kind of similar to Vesca, I feel like. All right, we have Mary Lou, and then we have the Vesca. They are similar but different. Like, am I just keeping Mary Lou around because it's Mary Lou? I don't necessarily know that I would miss Mary Luminizer in my collection. Yes, I have a pan, and that would be like, sometimes I struggle to declutter things that have a pan. But I honestly think I'm ready to declutter the Mary Luminizer. I think I can do that and feel okay about that. And then I'm curious about this one. Okay, so this is Fenty Beauty Lightning Dust and Fire Crystal, and this used to be my absolute favorite highlight. but I did end up decluttering, or sorry. It's like I would love to just, it's really just the subtle side that I love so, so much. Does it compare to, how does it compare to Ozone? Similar, but I almost feel like this has just like a little bit of sparkle, but okay, it's actually so similar to Ozone. So similar. Maybe a little bit more subtle. Do you guys see? I wonder if I depot. I think what I might do is depot the subtle side of this Fenty Beauty into something, but then declutter the rest. Because I feel like I force myself to try and use this. Like I've used this as an inner corner highlight, but I have so many other inner corner highlights in my collection that I could use. And it's like a little bit more stark than I would like on the cheeks, but I love the subtle side. So I think what I'm gonna do is depot the subtle side into a Z palette, or not a Z palette, a pan, so that I can use that up, but then I will declutter the rest. So I'm gonna move this over to the declutter pile. Then we have my Dior Nude Luminizer. This is in the shade 1. And there is that. That is beautiful. Definitely a little bit more golden. Do I have anything similar? Like I want to see, how does this compare to, a little bit deeper even than the Blitzed from the Flexed, which kind of surprises me. Deeper than Ray Rider. Pretty similar, very similar actually to the bronze side out of the Steph Tom's Milk and Cookie Ofra highlight. And I'd honestly rather keep Milk and Cookies. I think I am okay. I'm kind of shocking myself because it is a Dior product, but I think I'm actually going to declutter the Dior Nude Luminizer. And then the final highlight I have left is NARS Fort de France. I talk about all the time how this always is on the chopping block, then I pull it in to a Shop My Stash and I love it. Let's see, can I just swatch it right there? It is definitely more of like, hold on, more of a yellow toned highlight. I want to swatch it next to the Vesca one. Okay, a little bit deeper than the Vesca. I know I do, like I really like this formula. It's really like buttery, smooth, and soft, but it's a little deeper than the Vesca, and the Vesca's like my perfect shade. And I also like a pink highlight more. Am I okay finally with decluttering NARS Fort de France? It's so funny, the last time I had this pulled in my Shop My Stash, I was like definitely keeping and excited to pull it out again. I think I'm ready to declutter NARS Fort de France because I would rather reach into like Vesca or even like a mixture of Vesca and ABHM Reezy. Okay, we're doing it. NARS Fort de France is getting the boot. Okay, those were only my champagne highlights. We're only through the champagnes, meaning that we have our pinks left to go. And pink is definitely gonna be more difficult for me to let go of. I just know that I love my pink highlights so much. So we can start with Bobbi Brown Pink Glow. I absolutely adore this highlight. It is like one of my all-time favorite highlights. Just so we have a baseline of like my favorite type of pink, that is definitely staying. Let's also swatch Nabla Privilege because I do really like Nabla Privilege. That is definitely more of like a warm tone pink versus the Bobbi Brown, which is more of a cool tone pink. But I do really like both of these, so I'm going to keep both of those. I'm also going to keep my Rare Beauty Mesmerize highlight. I'll swatch that next to Bobbi Brown. Still a little bit different. This is very metallic on the cheeks, but I actually really enjoy this, so I will keep that. For a more subtle pink highlight, I really do like my Laura Mercier highlight in the shade Rose Glow. That is a very subtle pink highlight, but I think it's really beautiful because it just, I feel like it just meshes so well with my skin tone. And again, on days that I just want like a little bit of a glow but nothing too much, this is perfect. All right, then I have my Makeup Forever Profusion highlight. This is in the shade, I think it's in the shade 1. This is definitely more of a cool tone highlight. This has been in my collection forever. And this is one of the products I said will self-destruct. And I want to swatch the Bobbi Brown Pink Glow closer to this one. Like, I want to compare those side by side. Okay, this is definitely more, I'm gonna say, of like an ethereal glow. It's not quite as stark as the Makeup Forever. And on any given day, I would much rather reach for Bobbi Brown Pink Glow over the Makeup Forever. So I actually think I am ready to let go of the Makeup Forever highlight. We're ready to do it. That one's getting the declutter. Let's go with another warm toned highlight. So this is Fenty Beauty Girl Next Door and Chic Freak. This is one I'm like, okay, am I ready to part ways with it, but I'm struggling because it has a pan? Or do I really like it? Let's find out. So this is the side with the pan. Ooh, that's definitely more metallic than I was thinking it was. And then there is the warm tone. Ooh, that warm tone is so pretty, but is it similar enough to Privilege? All right, let's swatch Privilege from Nabla next to that. Okay, they're definitely different yet similar, although this has actual like glitter chunks running throughout and is a little bit deeper. So Privilege is definitely gonna match my skin tone better. I actually think I'm ready to also declutter this one from Fenty Beauty. This is so old in my collection as well. I think we're ready to move beyond that. All right, let's swatch this one next. This is from Soul Body. This is in the shade Soft Pink. I actually recluttered this into my collection and really liked it and had been using it quite a bit. So I kept it in my collection. I wanna see how this one looks compared to my favorite Glow. Oh, this one is definitely a little bit more metallic. I feel like maybe I don't need this one because I love pink glow so much, as you guys can tell. I feel like I'm actually doing better getting rid of pink highlights than I am champagne. Okay, I'm gonna re-declutter that one. I also recluttered Charming Pink from Laura Geller into my collection. There is Charming Pink. Oh man, that is even more like stark white than I thought. And now I'm like looking, I'm like, okay, maybe I do want one that is like a little bit more stark than this, especially because I also decluttered that Makeup Forever one. And out of these two, I actually like this one better than the Laura Geller. So actually maybe I'll keep Soul Body's Soft Pink in my collection. I like that this one almost has a little bit of sparkle in it. And I'm gonna declutter Charming Pink. All right, let's swatch this one next. This is the Pixi by Petra Delicate Dew. So the pink has definitely gotten more use for me. There is Delicate Dew. That is so pretty. I love that. And then I'll also swatch the gold, which I do not get as much use out of the gold, as you can tell. It's just a little bit too deep for me, but I do really like Delicate Dew. Yeah, I like this. I like Delicate Dew enough. I'm gonna keep that. I'm like, do I need to keep this one then? Yeah, because this one's a little bit lighter. Okay, then I have my Dior. This was my first Dior highlight. This is the Dior Nude Air, and this is in the shade 2. So this is a pink, and that is so pretty. It's similar to Delicate Dew, but a little bit lighter. And now that now that I'm swatching this, I'm like, maybe I don't need, I do really like that Soft Pink though. I'm gonna keep Soft Pink, and I'm gonna keep this one. All right, that just brings me to my two What's Up Beauty highlights. So we have Safari Sunset, which is the deeper of the two, and with these, you kind of get a pink and a golden, and then obviously you can mix the two together. I'm gonna do a mixture of the two. So there's kind of the 3 laid out for that deeper one. And then, that is so pretty. I'm like, I wanna know how Privilege swatches. Okay, still a little bit different. Like I love Safari Sunset. Okay, then I have Wild Acadia, which probably would be a better match for me because it is the lighter of the two. There is the pink. There is the kind of like lighter of the two, and then I'll swirl the two together. And that's what we get swirled together. I like the pink in that one, but it is very, very stark light. Oh, how does it compare to my Nude Air? Nude Air almost has a little bit more pink in it. I think I know this one doesn't match me as well, but even for like this, I feel like could make a really beautiful blush topper. And I truly do reach for my Safari Sunset more than I reach for my Wild Acadia. So I'm gonna keep the What's a Beauty, that is so pretty. Yeah, the What's a Beauty Safari Sunset, but I'm going to declutter Wild Acadia. And so that means in the highlight category, we are decluttering 10. Okay, woohoo. Okay, this feels like I'm like actually missing some, but I'm only keeping 17 powder highlights. Like that actually feels, I'm like, am I missing some? I don't think so. Okay, only 17 powder highlights. That actually, I know that's a lot, but that actually feels so much better than where my highlight category has been at. So these are the 17 highlights we're keeping. All right, guys, that is going to wrap it up for today's declutter of my bronzer and highlight collection. I would love to know if you are surprised by any of the things that I decluttered, or if you were watching and you're like, girl, you should have also decluttered that. Let me know in the comments. Other than that, thank you so much for sticking around to watch today's video, for supporting me and my channel as you guys always do. I love you guys so much, and I will catch you in tomorrow's video. Bye.